want to talk to you a few minutes about money and guns. I might end up mentioning faith and the power of faith, but really, I think I want to talk about money and guns. You see, faith is a power gift. So when faith achieves something, that takes power. But when power is present, that's excellent. It's exciting because God is included in it. God is involved. So how do I know? Well, it's because faith is a power gift. Faith works by love. God is love. And all the power gifts work by love. So when God is included, the thing that you're doing is authorized. The thing you're doing is sanctioned. The thing you're doing is God approved. There's purpose in it. There's love in it. God's in it. And it's a new thing because there's nothing new under the sun. You can read that in Ecclesiastes. So if something new is happening in the earth, then faith has to be involved, and it has to be from God. Also, if God is in it, then there's joy. Else it's just another day in the neighborhood. And it's why the rich, the very rich, and the very comfortable are often so bored. Because there's no excitement for them. There's nothing to look forward to. They just don't have anything that they're waiting for or expecting or believing God for, really, because they just go out on their own, of their own volition, of their own force, and in their own power. And they get things, and they force things, and they make things happen. Or sometimes they even refuse to have delayed gratification. Or they don't know how to even wait for anything. Because faith does work patience in people. So these very well-to-do people may have nothing to use their faith on because they don't use faith. They don't need faith because they're in the earth, they're in the natural. I'm not recommending this, but I'm just reporting it here. And they just force things. If they have money, that's power. If they have guns, that's also power. If they have money and guns, well, hey. Isn't that the storyline behind every shoot 'em up movie we've ever seen and loved? These people do everything on their own auspices by their own power with their money and or their guns. So money and guns can sometimes cause people to try to exalt themselves as God. Another plot line of a whole lot of movies, huh? But only a wise man, only a wise king with full access to money and gun power, an army, a whole arsenal, can be king and still consult with God and obey God. But since people mostly only ask God for money, then that's what I'm going to talk about. Since people only ask God for money, and then if they have or get money, then people generally settle in with their, money. And guess what becomes their idol? Money. And so money is the thing they can see, they can feel, and they can use it to exact certain actions in the earth. So if they have all of that, the average person may then think, well, what do I need faith for now? I can just use this money. You see, it's like having a golden calf on a credit card. It's an idol that gets them everything they want. A golden calf instead of dead presidents on all the dollar bills. It's an idol. An idol that can get them everything they want or everything they think they want. Shopping online the other day, I saw the button on a certain website allows you to bid on an item that's for sale. Or you can press the button that says buy it now. And you don't have to wait to have it shipped to you. You don't have to compete. You don't have to bother with others wanting the item that you want. You don't even have to have faith as you did if you were bidding. And you don't have to be patient as you would need if you were bidding. You don't have to develop impatience or any other fruit of the Spirit. You just buy it now. With money, you can. But without a certain amount of money, you might have to bid. You may have to bid on the item. You may have to wait to see if it could be yours. And you may have to decide if you can spend a certain amount of money, or the money that you're allotted to spend is going to be enough. You still may not end up with the item if someone outbids you. But while all of that is happening, you are developing in the fruit of the Spirit. You are developing in patience. You're developing in long suffering and so on and so forth. But of course, money doesn't buy everything. They say money can't buy you love. But you see, money is also not congruous with faith. You can't get faith. You can't buy faith. You are given a certain measure of faith by God, and you are to work that faith, and you are to grow it, and you become more faithful and more faith-filled. The Bible says that a person cannot serve two masters, and money is a master. Money, which is also called mammon in the Bible, is considered a small g God. So humans asking God for money all the time are asking God to replace himself in their lives with another potential idol, when they haven't even developed to the place where they will not let money have mastery over them. They have not shown God that they will not be a servant to the money, that they will not exalt money to an idol, and where they will not bypass faith and develop and further develop in character, so the money doesn't run them and the money doesn't ruin them. And they're asking God to do this. No wonder. Could this be why God hasn't yet released money to so many people? So you see, money, as in the example of shopping online, is now. You don't have to wait and bid on anything. Money, if you have it, is now. Faith is sometime, somewhere in the future, and God knows when. But we humans in the earth now, we are microwave, high-speed internet, now kind of people. We're impatient to a fault. But humans keep asking God for money, as if God doesn't know that people need money to survive, to exist, to be, to thrive. And if God doesn't know how much money you need to function, he knows. He knows what you need in order to function as he's intended you to function. God also knows how much money may circumvent your faith. Look at the folks who have no need of faith. They just go and get whatever they want. There's no excitement in attaining things because God is not in it. Purpose may not be in it. And when man just acquires things by his own hand without consulting God, God knows that money may be the unraveling, the undoing of your faith. So what lessons is God teaching us? What is he teaching you? What things do you need to learn before God releases money to you? Ask God. The New Living Translation, Proverbs 11:28. Trust in your money and down you go, but the godly flourish like leaves in spring. As with a child, if a prize is a lollipop for the little kid who's getting his first haircut, if he doesn't cry, you can't give him the lollipop before the haircut. It doesn't work that way. It comes after. And so goes money with adults. We develop in character. We develop a Christ-like spirit. We develop in the works and the fruits of the Spirit. And then God blesses us as we prosper in our souls. And in some folks, after money becomes their idol, they try to promote themselves to gods. So then why would God give you the very thing that would allow you to destroy others and eventually destroy yourself if you're not ready for it? We all need to work on ourselves first, develop in character first, develop and walk in the fruit of the Spirit. Then we need to seek and attain to wisdom, because riches comes and honor actually both come naturally after we receive wisdom. So we take the lessons first, we grow first, we move in soul prosperity first, Beloved, I wish above all things that you will be in health and prosper, even as your soul prospers. 3 John 2. So God has given us all a measure of faith. And if God has given us all a measure of faith, and it takes faith to please God, and there's the law of seed time and harvest is still in the earth, still working in the earth, then God will expect us to increase in faith, not decrease in faith. And does God also give us a measure of money because he knows what we need to function in the earth? God gives us enough money to supply all of our needs without hurting ourselves. But we need to show God that he can trust us. He can trust you with more money, and you'll get more money. I believe God is looking for people to bless. And I believe God has given us all a measure of the tithe. So we need to show ourselves faithful with our faith. And if we are faithful with the amount of tithe that God has entrusted to us, he'll give us more tithe, which correlates to more money coming to us, more money that we get to keep and use for our life and for our godliness. But without faith, it is impossible to please God. So when your flesh accomplishes something, but when faith accomplishes something, God is in that mix. There's nothing new under the sun. So in order for something new to come to earth has to agree with heaven. And this takes faith. And God gives us new ideas, witty inventions, clever inventions. He gives us new things. Isaiah 43:19. Faith draws on and confirms the presence of God, especially evident when you're asking God for and believing God for something that's way out of your reach, way out of the reach of your own power, out of the reach of your own money and your own guns, way out of the reach of your own flesh and your own influence. You want something like healing or promotion. Promotion comes from the Lord. You want a fantastic new house or new godly things that you've never experienced before. God needs to be in it. But when flesh achieves something, it doesn't take godly power. It's just flesh accomplishments or just human power, human ability, human influence, money, guns. But when faith achieves something, that takes power. When power is present, that's exciting because God's in it. And God is pleased. When flesh achieves something, there may be violence. Unforeseen future issues may arise from it. I've warned. But the blessings of the Lord maketh rich, and he adds no sorrow with it. Proverbs 10:22. So when God is in it, it's sure, it's assured, it's lasting. There's joy in it. And the outcome of it will not bring sorrow. This is that good fruit. This is the fruit that remains. So when flesh is in it, it's just stuff. It's boring. It's ho-hum. And sometimes stuff is just too much stuff. You know, a friend of mine told me once that when she gets 50, she's going to get a certain luxury car. I said, well, what are you waiting for? You can afford it. And she said, because if I get it now, then I won't have anything to look forward to. See how wrong I was there? I was so wrong right there, because just because you can afford a thing doesn't mean you should do it. Just because it's possible doesn't mean what is expedient. It wasn't expedient for her to get the luxury car at that time. But God takes pleasure in the prosperity of his servants. Psalm 35:27. And it is God's good pleasure to bless you. But God expects your soul to prosper before he blesses you with more money. He expects soul prosperity before financial prosperity, and for your own protection and for the protection of the people around you. You see, it's very difficult. It's impossible, really, for your soul to prosper when you have everything you think you want already. When people have money and whatever else they think they want, they may turn off their faith. And faith, remember, as I said, develops your mental capacity. It helps develop your mind and your emotions, your will, your intellect. It develops the fruit of the Spirit. But if you turn it off, then that may cut short your development and your soul prosperity. Faith grows our souls. Faith is a power gift, and faith works by love because the power gifts work by love. Without faith, it's impossible to please God. There's so many different levels of faith. And your faith level is based on the measure of faith that God gave you and how you've worked it. And God is ever teaching us, and He's teaching our hands to war. And faith is war. War against doubt, war against uncertainty, war against the mundane, the commonplace, the usual, the expected. It takes a lot of faith to say, no, this is not going to happen, not this time. We're going to do it God's way this time. That takes faith, to not yield to just the expected and the complacent. And this is a war against your senses, because faith is opposed to your senses. And God will try your faith. He will test your faith to grow you and to grow your faith and to see how you use your faith and how you use love to use your faith. And God will bless you accordingly, adding no sorrow with it. Because the testing of your faith produces patience. And let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. James 1, 3 and 4, New King James Version. Bless the Lord. Amen.